The Blue House, or Casa Azul in Spanish, is where famous Mexican artist Frida Kahlo was raised by her family. It's also the home that she would live in later with her husband, the artist Diego Rivera. Frida would eventually die in the Casa Azul at the age of 47 in 1954. Hi, I'm Lauren, and today I want to dig a little deeper into the Casa Azul, now also the Frida Kahlo Museum in Mexico City. Because when I visited, I felt like I gained new insight into Frida and her art. I got a sense of the space in which she lived and breathed and created. I got to see the art she collected and put around her house. I also had a chance to observe her sketches and personal belongings, along with her paintings. So let's take a closer look at it together and see what you think. You can probably guess why it's called the Casa Azul or Blue House, those bright blue walls. It's a striking building in the neighborhood in Coyoacán in Mexico City. A lovely magenta now picks out certain details on the house's exterior, and paired with that bright blue, you can't help but gravitate toward the house when you notice it on the street. So how did this house become a museum? It was donated after her death to provide people a way to get to know Frida beyond just her artworks. When you enter the space, you walk into a courtyard before you go inside the house. It still looks a lot like it did in the 1950s when Frida passed away, and that's intentional. Inside, you have the chance to see photographs of Frida, along with her sketches and some paintings. There are also other items used by her during her lifetime, like paints. When I visited, I was struck by how intimate the experience was because I was looking at things that were rather ordinary, and it was their very normalness that made me feel like I was getting to know Frida's private life more. It reminded me in some ways of what she did with some of her self-portraits or the paintings that she made showing herself. Self-portraits like the Two Fridas show us her perception of herself as torn between two worlds. In this portrait, which she made in 1939, you see Frida paints herself twice. On the left, she's wearing a white European-style lace dress. On the right, she's wearing a dress associated with the Tehuana, an indigenous people from Mexico. And the two Fridas share a heart and hold hands. Now, as you explore the initial rooms in the Casa Azul, you read more about Frida's life and you get a better understanding of why she felt like she had different, even competing identities. Did you know that she was born in 1907 to a German father and a Mexican mother of European and indigenous descent? Well, her father, Guillermo Kahlo, was a well-known photographer who traveled throughout Mexico to document buildings and other things. One of Frida's paintings inside the house shows her father seated with his camera behind him. She painted it 10 years after he died. She used a brownish red tone called sepia, which is similar to the color of her father's early photographs. You can also see that she included a long written inscription at the bottom, and it says, "I painted my father, Wilhelm Kahlo, of Hungarian-German origin, artist, photographer by profession, in character generous, intelligent and fine, valiant, because he suffered for 60 years with epilepsy, but never gave up working, and fought against Hitler, with adoration, his daughter, Frida Kahlo." Now, inscriptions like this one give us insight into Frida's thoughts, worries, ideas, and more. And this is true of many other things in the museum as well, such as framed illustrations from her journal. Some relate to Frida's complicated relationship with her own body, such as in these two drawings. Here we see a severed leg that almost looks like a broken statue, surrounded by red that reminds me of a pool of blood. In another, we see a female figure, and you'll notice that one leg has a line drawn through it and what looks like a golden boot below. These drawings relate to Frida's own physical challenges. She was sick with polio as a 6-year-old, causing her right leg to shrivel and shorten. A terrible bus accident as a teenager caused many further serious injuries to her body. She couldn't walk for a long time afterward. For much of the rest of her life, she wore plaster corsets and endured consistent physical pain. When she was confined to a bed after the bus accident, this is when she took up painting. By 1953, the year before she died, she had to have a part of her shriveled leg amputated, meaning it had to be removed. Being a fiercely creative and independent person, Frida shunned the standard prosthetics she was offered, and instead had a custom-made prosthetic leg created for her. It's a tall, red-laced boot decorated with dragons and even a tiny metal bell. She'd also paint her own plaster corsets. In her art studio on the house's second floor, amidst all her books and art supplies, rests her custom easel. It was designed to ease her comfort and allow her to paint. In her bedroom, just beyond her studio, you can still see the mirror above her bed that she used to paint herself while reclining when she was confined to a bed. While I stood in her bedroom looking at that mirror, I couldn't help but think of her statement when she says, "I paint myself because I'm so often alone and because I am the subject I know best." It's these intimate spaces, her studio, her bedroom, that helped me to process and to think more about Frida's complex identity, or even how we talk about her today. The clothing on display at Casa Azul, along with photographs showing Frida decked out in all her dresses, remind us so powerfully of her creative spirit and how she crafted her identity through her appearance, just like she does in her painted portraits. Some people have suggested that Frida's preference for long dresses was to cover her leg, both before and after the amputation, or otherwise mask her physical injuries and ailments. But I think it's more complicated than that. Clothing was really important to her, not just for concealing her body, but also as a way to express who she was, what she thought about life and politics, how she connected to her country, and so much more. I bet some of you use clothing and jewelry and even hairstyles to express your complex identity too. Walking through Casa Azul, we get to know more about Frida as she was in all her glorious complexity. Her love of Mexico, the pride she had in her country, is also clearly visible throughout her home. Besides the clothing she wore that was borrowed from indigenous peoples of Mexico, like the Tijuana, she filled her home with Mexican ceramics, papier-mâché figures, ancient Mesoamerican artworks that she collected with Diego Rivera, such as figurines from the ancient site of Tlatilco and dog figurines from West Mexico. She even had animals in her home that were connected to Mexico, like her hairless Itzcuintli dog. Her pride in her nation is so clear as you walk about the space. The final painting she ever made still hangs inside Casa Azul. And it's not a self-portrait, it's a still life, or a painting that shows arranged objects, which here is a group of red, green, and white watermelons in different shapes. The words "Viva la Vida" are written across one, which in English means "long live life." Even as her health gave away, Frida made the painting a tribute to life. Being in Frida's family home with her personal belongings, clothes, and art is a powerful reminder to live one's life on our own terms.